You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids. So lovely to see you. Welcome to Season 3 and episode number 45 of the Not Quite Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. For those moments when you want to get your winter's day started off right with a nice big bowl of piping hot beaver grizzly goodness. Yum, yum. Today, recording day is Friday, January 25th, 2023, and it's yet again going to be an unseasonably warm day with temperatures reaching 0 here at the Beaver Lodge. But that's not after getting a nice amount of snow. Got at least a solid 20 centimeters, if not more. As the people watching the show may see, I have some extra layers wrapped around me because even though it's going to be 0 later, it is not that now. And for some reason, I am particularly cold at the moment. So I'm trying to warm up. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronounced he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, and I am just overjoyed that you, dear skits, have joined us this morning. Good morning to you, Kit Linda M. Good morning to you, Kit Pasta Gabe, Kit Elaine, Kit What You Can Do. That's the new name for us, I believe, Mr. Grizzly. So welcome. We're glad you're with us. Of course, a big thank you goes to our podcast's our podcast's founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. In the headlines today, it's International Holocaust Remembrance Day, commemorating the liberation of the Auschwitz concentration camp in 1945. So, yeah, if you need to take a moment for that, please make sure that you do. We'll talk a little bit of Russia and Ukraine, and then we'll see where the day takes us. But before we go anywhere, first we must say good morning to this podcast's fine and furry friend. Hello, Mr. Grizzly, and how's your mental health today?
Hello, Mr. Beaver. Good morning. My mental health today is pretty good.
Okay.
I did have to put a little bit of thought into that. Honestly, it's pretty good right now. I don't know if I told you this or not. So I spoke to my doctor last week, and he wanted to augment my medication a little bit. Because, I've been not doing the greatest. And considering that today is the 1-year anniversary of the invasion and occupation of the city of Ottawa, I think that may have added to it, possibly because there's been a lot of media. And I've been trying to avoid the media for the most part, but there's been a lot of media focus on it lately, along with every social media thing. So I've been trying to, keep my head under the radar in that respect. But one of the things when augmenting antidepressant and anti-anxiety medication is when you're educated on your medication.
Get your education.
Exactly. Basically starting as of last Saturday when we finished our show, that was like, that's it. I can't have alcohol for 6 weeks. So no beer or anything for the next 6 weeks, which whatever, it's not even, that's just a thing. Easy enough for me to do. And luckily, because I love the taste of beer, not a lot of people do, right? Not everybody does. I love the taste of beer and specifically some beer. Well, Fortunately, there's a lot of really great tasting non-alcoholic beer available. Sober Carpenter, Groovy, Partake, a number of them. So I've been drinking a lot of Sober Carpenter IPAs.
Hmm.
Great, great non-alcoholic beer. Um, those who choose to drink, please feel free. I was going to say, well, we're only allowed to have two according to the government. Trudeau, as a joke, because people getting bent out of shape. What do you mean I can only have two drinks a week? No, no, that's no. You can have as many as you want. We're just trying to inform you that more than that is not healthy. Like cigarette smoking is not healthy, right?
Yes.
Riding a
Yes.
motorcycle without a helmet, not a healthy choice. So things
Right.
like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I thought
I
I'd
was
have some
hearing an
fun with it.
interview with the lady that was the head researcher on that. She said, it's like a chart. It's like a continuum, a guideline, so that you could make choices about your own drinking.
That's right.
One
It's
to
not
two
a
leads you
rule.
here, 3 to 6 leads you here, 7 to 9. It's just something so that you can make it. Whether like they're on the warpath, right? Like this is
Oh
big
yeah.
science, and they're coming for your, after they come from your burgers, the environmentalists come for your burgers, then they're coming for your beer too, and
Well, your gas stove and your
all
beer
your
and
gas stove, and what's next? Your barbecue, man. So I mean,
uh,
yeah.
nobody's taking anything from anybody. It's just to let you know to make an informed decision. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, so mental health for me has been pretty good the last couple of days. I did Wednesday evening. I worked till 2 a.m. Editing video, and we'll talk about that off air. That didn't go very well.
Oh.
Well, let's just say for every minute of video that you shoot, it takes approximately 1 hour of editing time. Sometimes
Mhm.
more, sometimes a lot more. But for 1 minute of video, it's usually about, on average, 1 hour of editing time. I had 53 minutes worth of video to edit. I edited it down to 27 minutes, and I was able to get as much done as I could in a 24-hour period, all on my own time. And the end result wasn't bad. There was a couple of things that I still needed time to fix, but the person I shot it with was not pleased,
Mm.
amongst other things, and doesn't fully understand what it takes to do it. Because I said I'm out now up to 24 hours of editing time. If I had more time, I could probably get it perfect, but I just don't have the time. She's like, "Well, it's not good enough. I wanted this, that, and the other thing." And I'm like, the initial gut reaction is, "You have no concept what it takes to do this, so don't shit on me." But I
Mhm.
didn't do that. I just said, "Well, I'm sorry I've let you down. I just don't have enough time to get it done exactly the way you want it. And I'm doing this at home in my spare time." That's what I did all day Sunday evening, Monday evening, Tuesday evening, and
Mhm.
late Wednesday evening.
Mhm.
So why you keep telling me how long it takes? So you can understand the amount of work that it takes to get it done. It's not, you don't snap your fingers, you don't run it through an algorithm. It's literally frame by frame to make some perfect cuts. So yeah, anyway, some people just aren't grateful. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's one of those. You asked for my help. I gave you my help. You were not satisfied with the help I gave you. There's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Exactly.
Don't get mad at me when you don't get it exactly the way you want. When you're not telling me exactly what you want, you just want my help. I give you my
Mhm.
help. You don't appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Get Mike H going there saying, "Being there, even with the best video editing software, it takes time."
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah. Good morning, Kit Ashley. I'm not forgetting about you. I just hadn't seen you yet. Good morning, Kit Jillian. Lovely to see you. Um, you got the kids singing, "We don't need no medfucation."
Education. I used to remember how to play that. It's been too many years.
Oh man. At my end, I've had a weird day. The last, not including last night, the 2 nights previous to that were shorter nights
Mm.
than I would have liked, and I guess yesterday I was tired because yesterday I was supposed to go to the opening party of the 24th annual Reel Out Queer Film Festival here
Oh,
in
okay.
Kingston, because I believe I teased everybody with an honor that had been bestowed upon me, but I couldn't say what it was yet, but now I can. I have been selected as one of the 3 jurors on the
Oh,
jury
cool.
panel that will be giving out the acting awards.
That's very cool. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to be an easy gig
No, it's not an easy gig.
because you have to disappoint people, right?
Right. Yes. Yes. It's probably the closest to being on the Cannes jury that I'm
Mm.
going to get. So I'm enjoying it. But it means that over the next little while and for the past little while, I've been watching a certain amount of my time has been taken up watching special screeners.
Okay. Yeah.
So when you hear like the people from the Oscars, they get all those little things at home via online, and they have their names on them and something. And so I'm getting used to watching movies like with like a big logo in the middle of it,
Yeah, because they're screeners, right? Yeah.
right, and my name written on it, and but watching
So
them at
that if it
home,
goes anywhere, they know where it came from.
exactly, exactly. So yeah, I mean, it's a great honor. It's a
Mm.
great honor. So, I mean, of course, I jumped at the opportunity.
Do you have a
Um,
gavel? You need a gavel because you're a judge.
but of course, it means that, let's assume 2-hour movies. I know some of them are shorter, 90 minutes, but 2-hour movies, and you've got about 11 or 12 of them to watch.
That's a lot. That's a lot of time. That's a
That's a
lot of
lot of.
time.
I don't think I watch 12 hours of movies a year in normal year.
Really?
Really, yeah. Trust.
That's a
I
weekend for me, dude. But then again, with the brain thing, sometimes leaving the house is not an option. So you just
yeah.
park yourself on the couch and turn on the Netflix and away you go. So,
Yeah, it's really weird. I used to go to movies all the time, and now
mm,
it's if I see like 3 like every year when I was a kid, I was a pop culture junkie. I would know every movie that was up for the Oscars. If it had
mm,
played in Ottawa yet, I had seen it. By the time it was there, I would always win the Oscar pool, and like because I knew about the NFB and all that kind of stuff, right?
right.
For
And
animation, I always knew how
you
to.
got retweeted by the NFB.
I did. Oh my god, my
You've been.
Canadian beaver, my inner beaver just like went crazy. It's like peak Canadian.
I'm
It's
gonna
like I
leave.
got
I'm gonna
retweeted
leave the
by the
joke out of that
NFB.
one. I'm gonna leave the joke right out of that one.
It's
I'm not
peak
touching it.
beaver.
Your inner beaver. There's a joke there. I'm not gonna touch it.
The Eager Beaver and Beaver Peaks, directed by David Lynch. Boom, down,
Candy
boom,
colored clown.
down, boom, down.
Where's my oxygen mask?
Ah man. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. But anyway, I was supposed to be going to the opening party for that, and it was 6 to 9 last night, and about 10 to. I was all dressed up.
With no
I was
place
all
to
dressed
go.
up,
Oh, you
and
actually had
I
a place to go.
just got this wave of fatigue, and I said, "Okay, you know what? I just need to take like a little power nap,
Yeah,
20
that
to
that
30 minutes."
that was it, right?
I woke up 7 hours later.
Sometimes that happens, and you know what? You need to listen to your body when it tells you to do that. And I have become accustomed to it over the last couple of years. I think the pandemic gave us license to do it. By the way,
Mm,
the pandemic's not over; it's still ongoing. For those of you
yeah,
who might not have heard, it isn't over. But yeah, I found that in the last couple of years, it's like if I'm completely exhausted, even though I've made a commitment, I'll just send out a note and go, "I'm sorry, I can't. I apologize, I can't make it. I'm physically exhausted. I got
yeah.
to take a nap." Now, I mean, you didn't get the chance to send the memo out because your body decided for you. That
And I had
happens.
confirmed the day before that I was indeed going to be coming.
So yeah, now you got to send out an apology. I am so sorry. I feel terrible. Blah,
Oh,
yeah, and it is what it
jeez.
is. You know.
Yeah, but I set the alarm and everything.
Oh well.
Yep,
Oh,
45 minutes, and I went right through.
no, then you
So,
really needed it. Then your body
yep.
was telling you, "That's it, dude.
Um.
You ain't going
Oh yeah.
anywhere."
Yep. And yesterday morning was really interesting because yesterday morning was shorter than it should have been because every now and then I'll do some stuff with a murder mystery company over here. We do these funny murder mysteries, and yesterday we had a gig, but it was yesterday for breakfast at this sort of like business networking event.
Breakfast
So
meetings are always great.
yes, well, I mean, there was lots of bacon.
I'm
So I
mostly
mean,
bacon.
that's that was a draw, and it was free bacon. I, I've done art for my way less than free bacon. Just saying. Normally, I just get applause. I got applause and bacon.
I I don't even know what to say to that. I don't know I don't have a response for that one. That's a rare occasion when I don't have a response, right?
We'll perform for bacon.
I don't know what to say to that. I honestly don't, because there's a part of me that's going, yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's completely acceptable. That's an acceptable form of currency. As Linda says, bacon is acceptable currency, unless you're a vegetarian or vegan or a member of a faith that does not observe the consumption thereof. But hey,
Yes. Then
um,
then then beyond bacon.
yeah, beyond bacon. I haven't. Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Well, you know what? I challenged them to come up with that because I've tried the turkey bacon and it tasted like fried bologna. So I was like, nope. If I wanted fried bologna, I'd have fried bologna. No.
Oh man, my eyes are watering.
You know where the most bologna in Canada is sold? Do you know?
Where?
The biggest consumer of bologna in the country. They actually have, so they have a giant maple leaf bologna stick called the Big Stick as a parade float every year. It's a man in a giant bologna costume. Newfoundland. Not
Oh,
Newfoundland and
really?
Labrador, just strictly the island of Newfoundland consumes
Okay.
more bologna than the rest of Canada combined.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah. Newfoundland steak.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting, considering they're no bullshit talkers.
Well, and
You're
you
full of
know,
bologna.
my
That's why I
my
tell the
mom
truth.
is my mom's from the Maritimes, right? She's from New Brunswick, and she grew up eating bologna as well. So
Huh. I remember fried bologna.
yeah, and it's still once in a blue
Yep.
moon, but it's like, okay, I can't find it in a lot of the stores. Like I have, honest to goodness, I've not seen bologna
Yep.
in any of the stores lately. Truth be told, I've just not seen it. And I
Okay.
was craving a fried bologna sandwich last week. I thought, well, maybe I'll just get a little. I don't need a giant stick of it. I just need enough to slice up a couple of. Nope, couldn't find it anywhere.
Hmm. Fakin. Is that what they
Faking,
call it? Fakin?
faking.
What you can do, yeah, faking is pretty great these days, apparently.
I apparently will take your word
Yes,
for it. I've not
yes.
happened.
See,
I
the
think.
kids
See,
bring the news every now and then.
this is Wade and Joe, a lazy Sunday with Wade and Joe. I have a pocket full of bacon bits. It's just my loose change. Dance for me, boy, dance. Throwing bacon bits at you. What do they
Going
have
up
for
the big
dogs?
old fish.
Begging strips? Jesus. Don't do that. You're killing me this morning, man. You're killing me.
Dropping the bacon grits into the aquarium.
You look like a bit of a guppy there. So, you
Oh
can see the
God, I'm not
scrolling
right this
chiron
morning.
I've just put up on the screen there.
Okay.
Welcome to Friday. Welcome to the weekend. If you, well, if you have a weekend, because some people have to work right through,
Mm-hmm.
we have an announcement to make.
Everybody's working for the weekend. Okay, let's make that announcement.
So, I
So,
don't know if you noticed the title of the show today, or if you noticed in the exploding, I ran the wrong, clip at the beginning. I've only had one cup of coffee, so I clicked the wrong clip. But if you notice, if you read the title of today's show,
yep, yep.
and if you looked at the splash screen at the beginning, you'll notice that it does not say the not quite Daily Beaver. It says the Daily Beaver. Because starting very, very soon, we're going to be doing this 5 mornings a week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The
Yes, Kitty
Tuesday and
Lane, that's
Thursday
daily.
shows will be, we're going to be daily starting not next week, but the following, because Mr. Beaver has some commitments next week that won't be able to,
Lots of movies to watch.
yeah, he won't be able to commit to Tuesday, Thursday next week. But the following week, we're going to be a daily Monday to Friday morning show. And the Tuesdays and Thursday shows will be very short and sweet, no more than 30 minutes. It'll be a single topic on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Thursdays, we'll discuss that single topic
Will we be able
outside
to
of our,
do that?
yeah, we
Given how
will.
much we banter in the
I
intro and
know.
the extra, that usually takes up 17 minutes right away.
Well, we're at 22 minutes and we haven't done a thing yet. We've just been babbling. But for Tuesdays and Thursdays, we'll be focused in. Hi, good morning. Hi, good morning. How are you? I'm good. You're good. Let's get to today's topic. And we will roll from there. But that's only 2 days a week. The rest of the Monday, Wednesday, Friday will be our regular show where we banter and giggle and laugh and do stuff. And this morning we can be with you till 9 a.m. For those who want to stick around for 2 hours. I have 2 hours I can give you, and it's because there's another show at 9:30. So there's another show on Friday at 9:30. So we've only
Oh,
got
wait
2
a
hours
minute.
this morning.
Who else got the idea of broadcasting in the morning?
Another gentleman whose name is escaping me right now.
We need to talk to the people. Sorry.
We've got
Our
2
turf,
hours, man.
Our turf,
2
man.
hours.
Our turf. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think I like this making room for new people thing.
Settle down. You're starting to sound like a MAGA. It's not how we do business.
I'm losing my broadcasting time because we got all these people crossing the border.
Oh, Jesus. I don't even know what to do about that one. I'll start it
I'm
off
a
with
horrible
this.
person.
I'll start it off with this. This was from January 26th. So January 25th, he did this on his night show. The fucker Carlson asks, "Why are we not sending an armed force north to liberate Canada?"
Didn't I mention that
Yeah,
during the trucker
yeah.
thing? I was saying, yeah, it was
Yeah.
when the United States started looking our way. And it's like, no. Don't you be getting any ideas. We don't need any liberating. You just look, bye-bye.
The problem with that statement that I have, he can make the statement. He's an American. I mean, he has freedom of speech. We have freedom of expression. A Canadian could even ask that question. But the problem with the statement coming from him is the fringe minority that, well, we saw how they behaved in Hamilton just the other night. We saw how they behaved here in Ottawa a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
A statement like that will have feed into the echo chamber that is, we're a socialist country. We're being taken over by communism and socialism, and we've got a treasonous dictator of a prime minister. We have to take him out for dinner. We have to take him out for dinner because, somebody's going to have that thought, and I'm concerned that violence will arise from this. He's stoking the fire, but he doesn't give a shit because it's a different country. So what are you going to do? Charge me? You know damn well that's his thought process. He doesn't care what happens. As long as it gets him clicks and ratings and advertising dollars, he doesn't care. And that's what these rage farmers continue to do. Make the most outlandish, outrageous statements. They don't give a damn who it affects, who it harms, who gets hurt in the process, collateral damage. None of that matters to them as long as they're getting their clicks and views. And that's all they care about. That's it. And the frightening thing is somebody is going to be harmed over this. Who? Yep. I don't know. Someone will be harmed over this. And that is dangerous rhetoric. Dangerous rhetoric.
I completely agree. That's dangerous rhetoric. Fortunately,
that won't be happening.
Yes. Thank you to DaCosta for that for us.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. But yeah, I hear you. It's
dangerous rhetoric, right? It's dangerous because somebody will react to it. And there's people keep saying that treasonous, traitor, dictator, you drove across the country, parked on his doorstep, shit in the streets, had disco dance parties, fireworks every night, blared your train horns for 3 weeks. Yeah, we're clearly under the guise and ruler of a dictator. Because you could drive across the country. I want my freedom to travel. You drove across the country, you hypocrites. Do you not see? Do you not understand how free you are? You saw the the parade of fools in Hamilton the other night.
Yep.
Of course, Nazi Caillou went on about how look at how they're massing the hundreds of thousands. It's like there might have been 70 people there,
Mm.
maybe there was less than 100 people, and they're all screaming the same garbage lines. You traitor, you this, you that. And I'm like, you dictator, you traitor. Okay, none of those things apply. Number one. Number two, these folks, what do they call it? Trudeau derangement syndrome. It's
Hmm.
like this: your life doesn't suck because of Trudeau. It sucks because you are stupid and make poor choices.
Yep.
Uninformed people in an echo chamber, a biased confirmation echo chamber, constantly hearing the same thing over and over again, they start to believe the lies. And those lies are going to get somebody hurt.
Oh yeah.
Well, and
Absolutely.
one of the comments I saw was, "Look at all the security he has. No other prime ministers had security like that." Not true. Harper had a way larger security force than that, and nobody threatened his life. There was no
Mm.
organization that bust in uh, liberals or left-leaning individuals to throw rocks at, scream treasonous traitor, dictator. No, that never took place. There were people who protested Harper, but not like this. Nobody was stoking the fires of division and hatred at the time.
Right.
And now you've got organizations that are heavily funded by dark US money, largely from groups like which is a Canadian group too, the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church, who are big business owners who stoke the fires of hatred and division and then say Trudeau's the one dividing us, which is absolutely not true. He talks about a small fringe minority that wants to put an end to democracy by doing things their way and dictating how we should behave, and that you need to step down and we're going to form our own government. That's dictatorship, my friends. Sorry, I went on a bit of a rant there. Sometimes it happens.
That's fine. But you're. I mean, yeah, I don't know what to add to that because I mean, that's pretty much right at there.
I think so.
I
You've
mean,
got people continue to say these harmful, hurtful things that will get somebody hurt. How? What? Why? Where? When? I don't know any of that. If I did, I'd be able to just say, "Yeah, go arrest that person right there because they're about to commit a crime." Like the Minority Report. Remember that Tom Cruise film?
yep,
Was it Minority? Yeah, yeah. Pre-crime. We
yep,
don't arrest people for criminal thoughts. We arrest people for criminal behavior, criminal
yes,
acts. That's why they were allowed to sit here and yell and scream for 3 weeks.
mm-hmm.
Of course,
Yep,
it was never controlled and it was never a protest. It was an occupation.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and to go to what you're saying, there was a report released not too long ago by the Canadian Integrated Terrorism Assessment Center, and it basically said that online threats against there were lots of threats against the Premier of Quebec in particular
Mm.
during the pandemic, because in Quebec, at one point they had floated. Well, in Quebec they had curfews, which in a lot of provinces they didn't.
We
But the
didn't hear.
premier had also floated the idea of an unvaxxed tax, or what was referred
Yes.
to as an unvaxxed tax. And that did not go over at all. At all. And apparently, yes, he had received a certain number of threats, death threats, and other types. Well, anyway, it was just it's just an incredible amount. It says since the beginning of the pandemic in early 2020, threats against elected officials in Quebec have skyrocketed. Provincial police received more than 200 complaints of threats against politicians in 2022, compared with 16 total in 2019.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Now, at least 5 people have been charged since the beginning of the pandemic with threatening Legault. And CSIS is also raising the alarm because, after what we saw that happened in August with Minister Chrystia Freeland when she was harassed
Mm.
in Grand Prairie, and we saw everything that happened to former Minister McKenna.
Mm-hmm.
right? And there have been other such incidents, and there's Mr. Singh, I think when he was in Peterborough, I believe, and
Yes,
the
yes.
prime minister when he was on the campaign last year. In the United States, we had the people who attacked Speaker Pelosi's husband in his home. We have a failed Republican candidate from New Mexico that conspired with four other people and shot up homes of some officials involved with the election in New Mexico. And that's just
Mm-hmm.
coming out like now in the past couple of days. Um, we had the two election workers out in Georgia also that had been singled out by Trump, and they had the daughter of whom had testified at the January 6th inquiry, and Ruby Freeman, I think, and her daughter that were
Mm-hmm.
singled out, and there was this weird plot with someone involved with Kanye, I believe, to try to move them someplace out of their home and take them.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
just weird,
Well,
weird,
and the
right?
reason people do this, the reason people make these outlandish, ridiculous, over the top statements is what is it, folks? Money. Money.
Money.
Rage baiting, click farming, it all brings you cash. And that's why they do it, because they don't care. Well, no, this is an entertainment program under the guise of a news show. They don't care as long as they get paid.
Yeah.
Greed kills people. There is no measure of greed that is ever good, period. Ever. Full stop. Never. Greed kills people. And that's what this is about in the end. Money. Money. They don't care what they say as long as they get their clicks and views. And rage baiting is what they'll continue to do and say outlandish, outrageous, bullshit lies just to enrage their base who keeps throwing money at them. It's a new religion, it would seem, but it's tied in with religion with the PBCC.
Yes. Yes. And then Kit Linda mentions the plot to kidnap the governor of Michigan. That also, yep, that's another one, and which resulted in, I believe, a total of 5 convictions in all from the
Mm.
people who did that. We reported on 3 on our show, and then I believe that there were another 2 after that. Um, I mean, that was they had a plan. I mean, they had a plan to blow up a bridge
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in order to help make that happen, right? It wasn't just the kidnapping. It wasn't just I mean, that's bad enough, and that's completely horrible. But you know, they were planning to like take out infrastructure and blow up stuff in order to make that happen. It's just there are no limits.
I know. It's terrible. It's
It's like
terrible.
there are just no limits. Um, so yeah, um, just glad that that's not happening this year, at least in this way. But of course, the as is in the case of the United States, the insurrection continues in other ways, right? And we have, its leader, Peter Poppinfredo, running around the country trying to make it happen. And the thing is that yes, he is unlikable. Exactly.
Mm.
Kid Bruce goes, was nice watching Trudeau hit back at PP yesterday. It was. It really was. And, on some previous shows, like some kids put, I like sassy Trudeau or I like spicy
Yes.
Trudeau.
Well,
And
he's going to continue with his Sunny Ways ideology because you know what, it is a good one, and people hate on it, but you've got even detractors and people who don't care for the man going like, no, he's the guy. That was the right thing to do at the right time. And I've seen a lot of his detractors say the same thing, and a lot of people who not only are detractors but don't care for his politics who are saying the same thing. You need to fight back against this. You
yeah,
cannot let Skippy the Wonder Pigeon, Peter Popinjay, PP continue to go on television and blatantly bald faced lie to the Canadian public on the daily, BT dubs, and get away with it.
yeah.
And he
Shall
does
we?
it all the time, and nobody ever holds his feet to the fire for it.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that. You
Shall
want me to
we
throw that up?
share? Yeah, let's
Yes.
share it with the kids. This was
You're going to throw the video up?
yeah, I'm gonna throw the
Good.
video
I'm going
up.
to grab a coffee while you're doing that. So make sure you
All
hit
right.
play, and I will step away for a second.
Okie dokie. All right. Enjoy this, kids.
No sound.
No sound.
No, you got to share the sound. So do it. Hang on. Let's just pull it down. Do unshare, then reshare with the sound, and we should be good. I didn't want to walk away until I heard it.
Okay.
So go ahead and reshare the screen.
Okay. There we go.
Okay, and hit play. And no, I've got no audio. Hang on just a second. Let me just check something here on my end.
Nope. No sound still.
No, no,
All right.
no audio. Just a second. Let me check something here.
You know what? How about I just send the
Send
link
the
to
link
you?
to you.
Oh, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
do that.
That'll probably work.
Okay, go.
Let's try it one more time. Because
One
when I
more
hear
time.
my echo,
When I hear my echo,
usually means
No, no sound.
nope.
No sound.
All right.
Okay, yeah, just send it to me. You keep the kids entertained while I grab a cup of coffee.
My mouse is
Sorry
not
about that.
That is
Technical
right.
difficulties. Let me pull the screen down here. There you go.
Thank you very much. There we go. I will just share that link. There you go. Yeah, I don't know what I was going to say because I was going into that. But in the clip that we're going to show, it's the prime minister at the end of a 3-day retreat that the party was having in the Hamilton area, where they're preparing for the next phase and what it is that they're going to do with their leadership. And the NDP recently had one as well, a couple of days before this one started. And this is Trudeau basically addressing the party faithful at this time. And one of the things that we keep on saying on the show that the prime minister does best, there's a couple things that are really good, is when his EQ, his emotional intelligence, is pretty good, which always makes it a bit of a head scratcher when he does something a little silly or very silly, or you don't know why he would do it, like not going or not be accepting the invitations for the first National Truth and Reconciliation Day, for example. Because he's pretty right on the point on that. The other one is playing the long game. When we saw with the carbon tax and the child care plans, by making the program such that there was a pot of money making available, and wait for time and public pressure to do their thing to convince the premiers to come and take from the pot rather than making a united front. He's very good on that one. And the other thing that he's good on is basic people skills, of course. And the fourth one is when it comes to um, love of the country and understanding the Constitution and what the law allows and doesn't allow for. Um, he doesn't lie. There are
Mm.
many parties that will lie to you about what the Constitution says or what the law allows. This prime minister does not. It seems to be a specific thing with him, and because it's something that stands out. It's something I haven't really noticed. And sometimes he says things that doesn't make people happy. Like I believe once in an election campaign, he mentioned something about Quebec within its role in the Constitution, and everybody
Mhm.
was decided to torque that to mean that Quebec had more rights than everybody else, or that type of thing. And it wasn't. No, it's those were the conditions at the time when we joined, and those were the rules. Those were the terms to which we agreed. And he wasn't going to lie or pretend that they weren't like this, or that he could get around them or skirt around them. He just said, "This
Mhm.
is what it is," and people who don't like the way it is, well, lost their minds. So when it comes to having a real passion for the country and its constitution and its laws, uh, and just fundamental principles of democracy, he's all in.
Oh, yes.
So when he's in that zone, when he gets to speak about those types of things, the choose your Canada, oh, they said I'm not ready, I'll show you if I'm ready or not. It's when he's at his best.
Agreed.
take a look, and he did that right at the public inquiry when he was sitting on the stand, and he got time to do a little, civics 101 while he was there as well. Um, he's got more than 30 seconds here in front of a TV camera with a microphone in his hand given by a journalist, right? This is his time as he
Oh
wants to
yeah.
spend it. So watch how he speaks when it's his time as he wants to spend it.
Here we go. And now I've got no sound.
Yeah, I've got no sound either. Yeah, I've got no sound either.
It's because I had it on mute. This.
So beyond having a plan to make people mad and
Do you hear that?
amplify and reflect back,
You can hear that? Okay. We'll start it over. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Hate it when things don't work right. Here we go.
so beyond having a plan to mad and amplify and reflect back and anger, we haven't really seen a lot of concrete proposals from Mr. Poilievre. I mean, he did make one. That's not fair. You're right. He had one great opportunity for people to opt out of inflation. He recommended this last spring. You can opt out of inflation if you invest your money in Bitcoin. Yeah. No. He stayed up late, watched all sorts of YouTube videos, and came to that conclusion. He said that himself. Buy Bitcoin, opt out of inflation. Well, any Canadian who actually listened to, maybe that's why those guys with the flags are so mad at me. Any Canadian who listened to him would have lost more than half their life savings since last March. That's not responsible leadership. It's not responsible leadership to go to groups that are known for denying the reality of residential schools, as he did just last week, or for attacking the rights of LGBT community Canadians, or talking up men's rights while attacking feminism at the same time. That's the path you need for Canadians, and yet he unapologetically does those things because that's a way to foment anger, to build up outrage.
Well, I think that pretty much sums it up right there, doesn't it?
Yep.
Like, hello.
Yep. That's it. And you notice, as I mentioned often, in the eternal political battle of tone or countertone, you've got Skippy doing these videos where he's always walking and moving and waving his hands and this and like giggling to himself and laughing to himself and talking fast. And then you got this calm, some humor, delivered,
a little bit of humor,
some passion. You see it? But that last line delivered, that was calm, and it landed because it was calm.
Oh, yes.
He's not shrieking like a banshee. He's not running around with his hair on fire. But he's ringing the alarm. This Poilievre is dangerous.
He is.
He's very dangerous, kids. Because even though he does not have the majority market on what he's selling, right? There's one thing that we learned from Trump, and I keep on saying it often, is that there literally is a market for everything in this world. Good,
yes.
bad, vile, right?
It's
Child porn, there's a market. Human trafficking, there's a market. The dark web exists because there are markets for things. Things that
Sadly,
neither you, nor I, nor anyone we love and respect would want to purchase with our hard-earned money. But there's a market for them. Just because we're not in that market or we're not the target demographic doesn't mean that there isn't a market. And the market in which...
There's always a market.
Yeah. The market in which Skippy is courting the donations, the areas from where he wants the donations, the people from which he wants the donations, the people and areas from which he wants the votes, the sectors of society from which he's seeking those. We're not on the same page.
No, not even close.
We're just not on the same page. So it's, vigilance, and don't let the fact that you think that he's an idiot, you know, delude you into the fact that he can't win. Don't let the fact that you think that he's wholly unlikable, and he is wholly unlikable.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the great equalizer in this particular race. But even not being likable isn't enough. It isn't enough, because if you get a throw the bums out election, there's got to be more than I just don't like him. There's got to be more than I just don't like him, but he's changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's better than the other guy we got, or whatever, But
Well,
that
there's also
attitude starts to seep
leader
in,
fatigue as well, right?
right?
Leader fatigue is a real thing. You're just tired of the same thing. And tired. I don't know what the next election will bring us. I really don't. I'm
Well, it's too far away.
it's way too far away. And fingers crossed that we don't have leader fatigue in that sense, only because there is no viable alternative. There's none. There's none. And somebody might say, "What about Jugmeat?" I go, "I like Jugmeat as a man, but every now and then he shows leadership qualities, and then he goes way off the deep end and starts playing Skippy's game by screaming, Justin Trudeau, just." It's like, bro, why are you blaming the federal leader for provincial responsibilities? And he does it all the time. Now, Poliver blames him for absolutely everything under the damn sun and then
Right.
screams, "We're going to get rid of the gatekeepers." But he just said he wanted Trudeau to fix the airports and the airlines. That would make him a gatekeeper. But we're going to get rid of the gatekeepers. Flip flop boy. Remember when flip flops were called thongs? We used to, in Australia, they're still called thongs.
Yes.
Still
Yes.
called thongs in Australia. We used to call them thongs here in the
Former
70s
crap
and the
party
80s.
is led by a thong.
And at some point in time, it became a flip flop. And I'm like, okay, sure. Which leads me to a funny comical story that I have to tell, but it'll only take a few seconds. A gentleman who was running a big organization here in the city, an older gentleman who was in his 60s, had a Friday morning meeting and said thongs are no longer allowed to be worn in the office. And all the women looked at him like, "How do you know what kind of underwear we're wearing?" He goes, "What?" And he says, "No, thongs, like on your feet." They go, "No, those are flip flops." And his assistant leaned over and whispered in his ear what a thong was. He went beet red in the face and went, "Oh my God, everybody take the rest of the day off," and left. Called Human Resources. Human Resources says, no, this was a complete case of innocence, like a complete case of innocence in not knowing what the current vernacular was for that particular type of footwear. I thought it was a cute story. True one too. I know the guys involved.
Oh man, jeez, I like that.
I thought it was a good one.
Sorry. So yeah, that's the PP Trudeau kind of stuff at the moment. This sort of overall battle. PP is still running around saying that everything is broken, and the prime minister is starting to come up with some counter narrative, which is good. Thing that's interesting in this one, which is a thing that is often said in politics, but that this particular prime minister does not seem to adhere to, is never say what the opposition says about you and put those words in your own mouth. And Trudeau did it in the first election when he just basically took the "just not ready" and that first commercial when he was walking in that his blue shirt and he's got the sleeves rolled up and says, "They say I'm just not ready. I'll show you." Right? It's like everybody freaked in PR when that happened. So you're not supposed to take what the people accuse you of and say it yourself. Ever. Never be quoted saying what your opponents say about you. You didn't care. Right.
Well, you know what? That's owning it, right? That's
right.
owning it, and that takes their power away and gives you all of the power.
It doesn't work all the time.
No, but it can
But when
work.
you've got the appropriate, when you apply that plus proper countertone, it is very, very, very effective. Very effective. Yep.
Take the power back.
Take the power back. Yeah, exactly. Um, I don't know. Uh, yeah, I don't. I was no. You know what? I'm not going to talk about him. I'm going to save him for something else. Yes,
Okay.
and talk a little bit about George Santos for a second because he's
Oh,
freaking disaster. Holy crap! But I just had this thought the other week. It's like, I was mentioning while Trump was in power that a lot of this stuff is we were seeing from Trump had been beta tested here with
hmm
Harper.
hmm
I noticed um, when Trump wouldn't, I think, because he couldn't act on abortion the way he wanted to, he stopped like abortion funds going through USAID, which is our equivalent of CETA. Uh,
okay.
so Harper did that, and then they did that, and um, scrubbing the words climate change from
Oh,
every
yes, yeah,
government
yeah,
website, that kind of
yeah.
stuff, right?
That's
Uh,
called dictatorship, my friends. By the way, that's what
yes,
dictators do.
yeah. So I was thinking to myself before, it's like George Santos. It's like before there was George Santos, we had Andrew Scheer.
Yeah, not exactly the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree, right?
Oh man.
Oh
Yes, I mean
boy.
that's the guy. He too lied about pretty much everything. We only found out 10 years after he was speaker that it's not like our vetting process is much better. Nobody cared because he was the speaker, but turns out that he had dual citizenship the entire time, and maybe did not was not an insurance salesman, and what else? So yeah, I was just the Santos guy. I mean, he's apparently apparently the according to Bo of the fifth column,
Apparently.
the one, yes, apparently the one golden rule that he broke was he tried to scam rich people. There's somebody in his office who had called representing themselves as being Kevin McCarthy, who's now Speaker of the House, Kevin
Right.
McCarthy's chief of staff, and asking for donations for his campaign based on that. It's like,
Hmm.
how are you? Why did you? How did you think that this would not get back to Kevin McCarthy at some point, right? And
Not
then
the
it's sort
brightest
of like
bulbs on the Christmas tree.
he's wanted in Brazil for checkbook fraud,
Mm.
and then decides to run to become a congressman. And now the police in Brazil are reopening the file because they had closed it because they could not find him because he had fled. Well,
Well, we know
now
where
that
he
he's
is now.
famous,
Not that bright,
and then
is he?
apparently his former roommate, which you listen to him like
Not heard
God
it.
love him, right? I'm rainbow and fabulous like this, and he gave like
hmm
one of the most like fabulous interviews ever.
Oh, yeah? I'll have to find it
Oh
then.
yeah, oh yeah, uh, and he's sitting there like this, and he's like, I didn't know him as George Santos. I knew him as Anthony DeVolder
Oh,
or Anthony Drabinsky, like this. So he's had like many different names, right? But Anthony DeVolder's been one of his names, and apparently while they were living together, right? He said like the stories were so fantastical, and it just became like one big mess, and then it's spiraling and stuff like that. But apparently, while they were living together, like this Anthony DeVolder stole his Burberry scarf, and
no.
when apparently so,
That's
and
no, I mean,
then
that's a no. You don't do that.
you don't do
Don't
that.
steal the Burberry.
You don't steal the Burberry, especially a Queen's Burberry. Mm. So apparently, he was at a
What I'm
Stop the
getting.
Steal rally.
Get cut.
Yes, he was at a Stop the Steal rally at some point, and the guy's watching TV. He's like, "Bitch, that's my scarf. Bitch, be wearing my scarf."
Nice.
That's George Santos. That's Anthony DeVolder. Apparently, the guy called the police. It's like, and you're listening to the interview, and it's like, well, yeah. I mean, of course, like, I miss my hound check Burberry scarf, but like, this guy's a legislator. He's gonna make laws.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
It's like, and I'm thinking that's like so total, such a total queen thing, right? That's like, of course I miss my scarf, but like the fate of humanity. So, of course I called the police, darling. Then I
Mm,
went and made myself a fabulous martini.
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Oh man, it is a disaster. It's a shit show, and apparently, McCarthy can't get rid of him because Santos. Well, in that whole thing where McCarthy was
Yeah.
losing votes to be
Oh yeah.
speaker, Santos was a solid vote for him, and apparently, Santos is getting committee assignments to the science and small business
It goes
committees
back to
while he's removing Adam Schiff and Rick Swalwell from the, the with the intelligence committees because they're not honest enough.
oh, that's hilarious. Pot, may I introduce you to the kettle? Talk amongst yourselves. It's like, holy
Holy
crap.
crap, man! Holy crap! It's and that's just like the Coles Notes version, kids. I mean, it's a hot mess. Holy crap. So yeah, and then some people do want him to go, and other people are not being full-throated and how long they want him to go. And apparently now it has to go through the House Ethics Committee first, and if they rule that he has committed a crime, then maybe they'll try to get rid of him, except they're trying to get rid of the House Ethics Committee too. Oh man, there but for the grace of whoever. The kids. We live upstairs from these people.
Yeah.
It's, man. Gee, it's like he took Andrew Scheer's
And
shtick and then like put it on steroids. I mean, Andrew Scheer, would probably be like accused of stealing someone's 2% milk or something. He came to borrow a cup of milk and then he never returned it. Oh yes, how dare you disparage a college volleyball star with 2 knee replacements? That was the other thing. Apparently, the school that he said he went to, it's not only that he went to the school because you could check the school records and see that he never attended or never graduated, but he was a volleyball star on the
oh
school,
well.
and then had to stop because he needed 2 knee replacements. And apparently, it seems that it was a former boss of his who actually went to that college on a volleyball scholarship. So he just like upended someone's life. I'm gonna take those bits and I'll replace these bits. He probably had another friend somewhere who had knee surgery, put the stories together. There you go. Yeah, this happened to me. Really?
hmm hmm
Yeah. And if he was a volleyball star, Doug Ford played for the Raptors at some point. I'm sorry. It's like I see that guy and I don't think very high vertical lift.
No. No. No.
I'm like, really? It's like, so he was telling you, you were looking at him while
Seriously.
he was telling you that story, and you believed he got a volleyball scholarship. You believe that guy had a volleyball scholarship. Okay. Would you like to buy some Nortel? It's just,
Yeah, I have plenty of stock to sell. How about
oh
some
man.
Bitcoin? There's a guy in a white van driving around in Bitcoin.
Oh man. Really? Jeez. Yeah, apparently now, I just heard on the news that if you had gotten into the Bitcoin stuff at its low after all that, apparently it's
Oh yeah.
gained 25% since it's low now.
Yeah, but
I
you know
mean,
how
they're
many
still
people
able
freaked
to.
out when it bottomed and ran away as a result? So
Oh
that
yeah,
means
yeah,
they're done. They're finished. Like that money's
yeah.
not coming back.
But wouldn't it be a kick in the pants if, like, 3 years from now, we have the election, Bitcoin is finally back up to where it was when Pepe recommended it, and he says, "See?"
Yeah. See, what did I tell you? In the meantime, I've been eating cat food to survive. But thanks.
And you've gotten default notices from your creditors.
But no problem. Man. Hey, I got all the money back. It only
And
took
credit
3 years.
calls.
You got to remember, unless you're a big investor, somebody who can afford to lose 100,000 or $1 million, who can actually afford to lose it. Most of us, when we invest, it's money that we're hoping will go up so that we can retire, not necessarily live a lavish lifestyle, but at least at a bare minimum, a middle class lifestyle,
Mm,
which I'm still not even a member there. So if you can afford to lose 100 or 200 or $1 million, then you don't care. Yeah, so it's gone down. Don't worry, it'll go back up. But most of us cannot afford to lose $10,000 in an
right,
investment.
right.
You need to see a positive return. And you know it's going to go up and down over the course of a year, but a lot of the investments that we make, 2 to 3% return at the end of a cycle, or maybe a 2% dip, but never a 30 or 40% drop.
Right,
That just doesn't happen, right?
right, right.
But with
Unless there's something major.
just put your life savings into a slot machine, pull on that lever, and see what happens, my friends.
Woohoo! um, as announced in our opening credits, that we were going to talk a little bit about Russia and Ukraine today. During the holidays, because we haven't talked
We
about this
haven't
for a
really
while.
addressed
So
it lately, no.
yeah, lately, no. So just to sort of catch you up a little bit to where we are today. During the holidays, Russia asked Ukraine to observe a 36-hour ceasefire in order to observe Orthodox Christmas. Ukraine told them to go pound sand. Yeah, we're not, like, your word has been worth anything over the past year or so. Yeah,
Nothing.
we'll just lay down our arms for 36 hours and allow you to retool, or it's like, yeah, sure. We were born yesterday and at night. So yeah, no, that didn't quite happen. Then many Ukrainians this year decided to celebrate their Christmas on the 25th of December, even though they're Orthodox, while others celebrated on January 7th. But those who celebrated on January 7th often conducted their masses for the first time in the Ukrainian language rather than in Russian. The Ukrainian Orthodox Church had officially broken ties with the Russian Orthodox Church earlier in the conflict. For New Year's Eve, there was, I guess people's death is never any good news, but there was good news for the Ukrainian side when the Kremlin admitted that 89 soldiers were killed in a New Year's Eve missile strike on a military barracks. And it seems that the reason it happened is that so many of the Russians that were there were on their cell phones at the time. And
Yes.
apparently the congregated signal let people in Ukraine know precisely where to strike. Way to go. The deadliest known attacks on Russian military of the conflict, the speculation is that 89 soldiers killed was a lowball and that the number of dead could actually be over 600. Russian nationalists and some legislators have demanded punishment for military commanders accused of ignoring the dangers of housing soldiers near a storage facility that was an obvious military target. Since then, the general that was in charge of the war at that time, after a very lengthy, I believe it was 3-month stint in the job, was replaced by some guy who's known as Gerasimov, his last name. And apparently he was the main architect of the Russians' success in Syria. So they've brought their quote-unquote mad dog to lead this effort. Of course, the
We'll see
terms
what
of the
happens.
battle are much different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ukraine is not Syria, and whereas in
Well,
Syria they were
also,
being
Ukraine had a
welcomed in.
standing army. Ukraine had
Yes,
the largest standing army in all of Europe.
yeah,
So Syria did not have that.
Yeah. And Syria, Russia was welcomed there
Yeah, and it's also a
by
civil
the
war in
government.
Syria too, which is
By
different.
the
The
government.
government, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of differences there.
A lot of differences here. Russia is having some trouble finding people for the war. A lot of the conscripts that they get
Guys my
soon
age.
flee the country and leave. And as a consequence, Russia is setting higher taxes for people who have fled Russia because of the war. As
Mhm.
many as 700,000 had left by early October, following Putin's mobilization of reservists in September. A few days ago, Ukraine's interior minister and two of his staff, his deputy minister and a senior civil servant, were killed in a helicopter crash that took 18 lives, including those of 3 children. The chopper crashed near an elementary school. And there were 9 on the copter itself, 9 people, 6 government officials, and 3 crew
Chopper.
on the chopper. Sorry, 6 government officials and 3 crew. Um, None of them survived. 29 others were injured. The cause of the crash is still unknown. It does not appear to have been shot down.
Oh, okay.
Yes. On the day that happened, Minister Anand was there. She
Oh,
had made a surprise visit to Kyiv to make an announcement. And so, of course, she delivered condolences on the part of Canadians while she was there. But she was there to announce that Canada would be sending a certain number of Rochelle Senator armored personnel carriers to the armed forces in Ukraine. She says,
we're also
uh,
sending Leopard tank.
yes, today they announced that,
8
or
of them.
yesterday. Yep. She said, today I'm happy to confirm that Canada will donate another 200 Rochelle Senator armored personnel carriers to the armed forces of Ukraine, valued at over 90 million Canadian dollars. It will be a fleet of 200 Canadian-made armored vehicles. So we'll be making them here. So there's double benefits for
Mhm.
this one. Added to 8 similar ones delivered in the spring. And with that, the minister said, please know that in Canada, you have an unwavering partner and very close friend. Ukraine will win, and Canada will stand by you for as long as it takes. In total, up until now, Canada has contributed about $5 billion in military, financial, and humanitarian assistance since Russian forces invaded Ukraine last February. There has been a push after this, prior to this, during the North American Leaders Summit, Canada had made clear that it was going to purchase a National Advanced Surface-to-Air Missile System, often called NASAMS. If you hear that
Mhm.
mentioned, referred to it, that's what it is. And that was confirmed by the Department of National Defense. Minister Anand said, in the face of Russia's brutal airstrikes on Ukraine, this air defense system will help to protect Ukrainian population centers and critical infrastructure against drone, missile, and aircraft attacks. The release said the donation would cost about $406 million and would come from $500 million in aid to Ukraine that the Prime Minister had announced in November of 2022. The release did not say when the system is expected to arrive in Ukraine. It is made by a company called Raytheon and a Norway-based company called Kongsberg Defense and Aerospace. Raytheon is American.
Mhm.
And according
They have
to
an office in Arnprior, Renfrew.
in Renfrew, and
Yeah, they have
according
not just an office, but like a manufacturing facility there as well.
okay. According to their information page, it says that NASAMS provides air defenders with a tailorable state-of-the-art defense system that can maximize their ability to identify, engage, and destroy current and evolving enemy aircraft, unmanned aerial vehicles, and emergency cruise missile threats. So there's air missile defense support and these armored carriers coming. And then the talk started to move towards tanks because, as we're getting into the winter, it's a little more difficult for Russia to do what it is that it wants to do. And then we'll have the spring thaw where things will be a little muddy, and then, or the late winter thaw, and then they'll be ready to go at it again. So both sides are sort of retooling for the next phase, especially Russia with having a new general in place. So they want to, Ukraine wants to be sure that it can mount a proper counteroffensive at the time. So the United States has been helping with that by dedicating another another $45 billion of funding to Ukraine in its most recently passed $1.7 trillion funding bill. So they managed to get that included because in the United States there was a faction of the Republicans that were wanting to challenge that.
It's a
And
lot of money.
yeah,
It's a lot
it
of
is a lot
money.
of it is definitely a lot of money.
1.7 trillion. Like, can't even fathom that amount of money.
Yeah, exactly. So the talk has started to move to tanks, and in particular, they were talking about Leopard 2 tanks specifically, and there's many countries in NATO that have them, and the Leopard tanks are favored at the moment because they were designed to take out the specific types of big tanks that Russia has been using in this invasion. And the biggest stumbling block to getting the tank sent was Germany, who had a switch in defense ministers in this period of time. Their defense minister had actually resigned, and a new one had been brought in. And Germany, when it comes to Germany and when it comes to Japan, because of the roles that they had in the Second World War, right? There's always been, well, you mentioned it in a previous show, I believe, right? Who would have ever thought we would have been thankful for the day that Germany and Japan would be
Start
starting to
rearming.
rearm themselves, right? But here we are,
Yeah,
right?
here we are.
Here we are. So Germany didn't really want it to be going alone, given its past saying, right, we're going to let tanks. And they were really hoping that the U.S. in particular would put some of its Abrams tanks on the table and say, okay, we're going to do that. And then Germany would say, okay. So basically it was Germany wasn't going to do it. And then the position shifted to, we'll do it. And it's not, there's 2 points here, right? There's not only Germany giving tanks of its own, but if other countries had these tanks made in Germany, part of the conditions of sale is that they had to get clearance from Germany beforehand, before donating them to other countries to help in other efforts. So you had Germany wanting an assurance from other NATO partners that it wasn't crossing that line alone. And they got it. They got it first from the UK, who said that they were going to send a certain number of Challenger 2 units over there. And then you had Poland on, basically Poland sitting there on the sidelines going, hell, let's fucking go. Come on, man. We're just like, come on, man. And then they got the okay with the Abrams from the United States, saying that they were going to go ahead, but that the United States tanks may be delivered on a slower schedule. So the other ones would go in first, and the United States tanks would then come in to serve as cleanup afterwards. So the United
Send in
States
the sweep up crew.
exactly.
Mop up crew. Sorry, sweep up crew, mop up crew.
Exactly. So the United States has committed to sending 31. And before that, Germany did say that it was okay with other countries using them, that they were going to sign the export or whatever it is that was required, permits for that to happen without committing any of their own yet. So the United States did sign off on 31, and Germany has then signed off on 14. The UK, I believe it was also 14 Challenger 2s, but don't quote me on that one. And Canada had initially announced 4, and I think, according to you, Mr. Grizzly, it's now 8?
Yes, it's 8.
It's 8 that
And
are going.
of course, I jokingly said, I might need to correct myself on that later, but I spoke to a friend yesterday and I jokingly said, well, what's the Army going to do now? That's everything. We just gave them all we have. He's like, we have 88. Settle down. I'm like, dude, it was a joke, man. It was a joke.
Yes.
We all know we have not provided our military with the tools they need for long. It's not a secret.
Yeah.
You know, you'll have people who will scream, why are we doing this? I'm like, well, we're members of NATO. We're members of NORAD. We're a G7 country. I would love to live in a world where we didn't require an army to defend ourselves against other nations. I'd like to see a unifying global force to defend us against an actual alien invasion, which probably someday will happen.
Mm. Yeah. Gee, if the way we fought against COVID is any indicator, we're pretty easy.
We're done.
Mark.
We're finished. We're finished. We're done. That's it. Well, I for one, respect our new alien overlords.
Really, eh?
You voted
now,
for Kodos. I voted for Kang.
According to Canada's ambassador to Ukraine, Larisa Galadza, the 3 officials from the government of Ukraine who died in the helicopter crash accident that took place after a bombing of an apartment building in Dnipro, which you've also heard about if you've been paying attention to the news. The 3 officials that died had very close ties to the Canadian embassy, and thus their loss was very deeply felt here in Canada. The minister was involved in projects that Canada funded in Ukraine, particularly projects related to police reform. The deputy minister was the point person for Canada in Ukraine, handling the pursuit of justice, truth, and accountability with regards to the downed Ukrainian Airlines flight in Iran, for which we marked the 3-year anniversary.
3 years.
It's already been 3 years. It's already been 3 years.
Just before the whole world shut down, right? So, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, federal government announced on that that the time has passed for whatever stage that they were at the moment, and that they're joining the other nations at bringing this to the International Court of Justice to try to get some action, because Iran is not making any of the documents asked for, or well, not any, but not making the key ones at least available, and all the information is in Iran. So it's kind of hard to get justice when there's no evidence to look over because someone won't make that available. And the third person was the state secretary. And the state secretary had spent 3 months working on Parliament Hill in an MP's office as part of the Canada-Ukraine parliamentary program. So it was the news hit hard, of course, for their families and their friends and people who love them, but also they weren't just 3 public servants from another country. They were 3 public servants with whom our public servants had close ties, and the Prime Minister had actually met the minister himself while he was in Irpin earlier on a visit. So it's sad that this keeps on continuing. Brian Stewart, a foreign correspondent, is quoted as saying, with regards to Japan rearming, Japan's decision to rearm with this vigor means that we are now in the biggest military buildup in history. That's bigger than before 1914 and bigger than before 1939. There's more spending now by more countries on more advanced weaponry and more weaponry of all kinds than we've ever seen in the history of the world. This is not a story for back pages of newspapers or small media coverage. It's not a story to be put in the background anymore. It's an alarmingly unpredictable world which is spending enormously on military weaponry because it feels it has to, and that deserves a great deal of constant attention. It deserves Canada really getting involved in that constant attention. The pacifist in me cries.
Oh, yeah.
Ukrainian officials say that the civilian death toll has climbed to over 9,000, including 453 children, since Russia's invasion began last February. They've also registered over 80,000 crimes committed by Russian forces. And President Zelensky mentioned when that report came out, we will forgive not a single torture or life taken, not a single destroyed home, not a single tear of a Ukrainian child. Each criminal will be held accountable. So
Good.
that's where things stand at the moment, kids, and that's where Canada's involvement is as well. So $5 billion in humanitarian, financial, and defense aid since the war started. We're getting close to a year. And hopefully when the spring comes and the summer comes, that this will be the year that the forces in Ukraine can make a very concerted push and get the Russian forces outside the country. And there you go, kids. We have a guest. Wave hello.
There we go.
Special
Surprise
appearance
guest
by
in
the
the
Beaver
background.
Sweetie. Yes. I love him so much. This is his last day of that 10-day intensive thing he was doing.
Oh,
Today's
right,
the
right,
exam
right.
day. He got through it. I am so proud of him. You
Cool.
asked me to let you know when we could pivot. I think the appearance of my Beaver Sweetie turned things back to sunnier climes.
There's a
Let's
pivot.
have a pivot.
Okay. So there was a senator the other day who gave a rather impassioned, nonsensical, anti-abortion, anti-women's right speech on the floor of the Senate just the other day, and I can't find the speech, but I do have this quotation from Cher, and I think this is pretty apt to respond to that guy's remarks about a woman's reproductive rights and the choice she can make with her body. If every time men had sex, they risked death, physical disability, a life-altering interruption in their education or career, and the sudden lifelong responsibility for another human being, I think they'd expect a choice in the matter from Queen Cher.
Mm.
And a slight pivot from that to this disturbing video, and I'm going to have to show the whole. I'm going to show the tweet, and then I'll blow up the screen a few seconds after. You know how these RWNJs are always going on about, oh, drag queens are grooming, they're grooming people, they're trying to groom children. None of that is true.
Mm-hmm.
But here is an example of grooming. Relax. There's no trigger warning here. This is grooming. You'll see it in a second. I don't need to place a trigger warning because there's nothing triggering in a violent sexual way or anything like that. Although, well, I'll just play the clip and you'll understand in a second here. So I'm going to and you can see this is grooming. I'm going to blow up and press play. There's no audio in this. And I guess I should. I'll read what is on the screen of the video for the folks sitting at home listening on the audio only of the podcast. It's a disturbing scene where this father is there with his two daughters. And in the scene, it says when girls are old enough, we start training makers. That means they start cleaning up after their father. This way they know what is expected of them when they get married. They are expected to do it happily and graciously. We are simply training them for their future husbands. We know not everyone agrees with this, but that's okay. Their future husbands. That, my friends, is what we call grooming. Brood man, barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, making me dinner. That is grooming, and that is disturbing on a level. If they're thrown out at you, you're effectively a possession of your husband, and this guy's doing it with two young daughters at a very young age. You know what he can do? I'm not going to say it, but you know what he can do. I'm trying to be nice and pleasant and happy and push my anger aside.
Yes.
You know what he can do.
Yes. I get that same feeling when I see the Republican family Christmas photos where everyone's holding a gun. Grooming.
It's exactly what it is.
Yes. Say Merry Christmas or I'll put a cap in your ass.
Yes, they really took it to heart that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yes, really.
They take that shit seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, when we were talking about PP there a little earlier, and we were talking about, Trudeau, Prime Minister Trudeau talking about the people to whom he's given reach rounds and stuff, and while he's saying he doesn't accept any form of discrimination.
Right.
Hit it, Mr. Grizzly. This guy,
Garnet Genuous. Can you blow that
Mr.
image up?
Conversion Therapy.
Last week I posted an article about how Japan asked Canada to supply energy. Trudeau gave a non-committal response. Check out this clip from 2019. Liberals continue to be the only thing keeping Canadian energy from global markets.
Okay. Garnet Genuous. Mr. Conversion Therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted it to keep it legal so it could literally torture humans. Why is he still in the caucus? Skippy doesn't support discrimination of any kind.
Yeah, that's what he keeps saying.
Why is he on the bench?
Boot him. It's because Skippy talks out of one side of his mouth and then talks out of the other side, telling his caucus and his base and his party members and delegates exactly what they want to hear. And out of the other side of his mouth, he's trying to give us nice little sound bites and tidbits to make it look like, well, he's not as bad as I thought he was. No, he's worse than you ever thought he was.
Yep.
He voted against same-sex marriage. His adopted father, his father who adopted him, is gay. He voted against same-sex marriage while his father was in the house, in the gallery. This is who he is. He is beholden to the PBCC. And if you don't believe me, let's look at when Stephen Harper was sworn in and put his hand on a Bible supplied by the PBCC, and all those leaders were sitting in the front row when he was sworn in. He's owned by them. Religious zealots, Christo-fascists, who want to dictate to you how your life be. I'm going to give you freedom. He's going to destroy all the social programs as quickly as he can. Wouldn't happen overnight. They'll just chip away at it like they're doing with health care here in the province of Ontario, taking away our universal health care and building hospitals for private, or building clinics and hospitals for private health care with public funds. That's corporate welfare. I hate it. I disagree with it. And if you're angry, you damn well should be, because that's your money that they're giving to rich people to enrich their bank accounts. You need to get angry about this, folks, if you're not. You absolutely need to pay attention. Remember, democracy is something you do. You need to get out. You need to vote. You need to get the message out. You need to let people know that they will continue to chip away freedoms that we take for granted too often. And they chip away at them until they're gone. And they don't care as long as they're in power and making money. Those are the two things they hold above everything else. Power and money. Things. That's all they care about. You don't matter unless you give them money.
Yeah.
That's it. They don't even care if you vote for them. If you give them money, they'll get the power. That's all they care about. And I know this for a fact, that their pursuit of power is relentless and endless in this. And I know this because of an MP I know who turned to a friend during the previous election and said, which cabinet position do you think I should take? So like, you guys haven't won anything yet. Oh, no, don't worry about that. We'll get it. We'll get the power. It's like, aren't you supposed to be representing your constituents? No. I just want the position. Which cabinet position do you think I should take when we win, when we get elected? Mm-hmm. And this was a person I used to admire and respect. I have no respect and no admiration for them anymore. I remember when I first got in as an MP, I said to them, you're a good person. I respect you. I admire you. But if you step out of line, we will hold your feet to the fire. We will hold you responsible. You need to remain who you are right here, right now, today. Maybe the person I knew was always putting me on. Maybe that person that I thought I knew was always this person that we see today. I don't know. Maybe they've just been so corrupted by the power, because absolute power corrupts absolutely. I don't know. The person that I used to admire, and that person is gone. And maybe that person that I admired and respected is a fallacy all the time, all along. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. I hope that I am. I hope that they've just merely been corrupted by the power and thinking that they can do whatever they want. I hope it's just that, because that's repairable. That can be fixed. Counseling, therapy, truth can repair and fix those things. But if the person is that person deep down inside, I don't think that can be repaired.
Yep. Yep. I agree.
Nothing I can do about it.
No, you're right. You're right. And it's just sad that we have people that are there. I am. It's one of those, as I say often, lead follower, get out of the way. And it's sad that people are there, or they're in a place that's so dark or so broken, but that they're also being told to, or willing to take the message that you must pull someone else down along the way.
Yeah, punch down.
Punch down. Yeah. Well, I mean,
why do they punch down?
If you're kicking down, you're not looking
because
up at your betters, right? As Bo, the fifth column, says.
Exactly. So you feel superior. Number one, you feel superior. Number two, when you punch down, it's because they can't punch up. They can't fight back. They're not in a position to do so. So they just have to take their licks and try and move on. Always punch up, never punch down. Now, that is not an extreme left-wing ideology. That is a humanist ideology. That's not left or right. That is a humanist position. And remember what our good Robert said, you are either a corporatist or a humanist. Pick a side, because history will remember you. Pick a side. I'm a humanist. I don't like our tax dollars going to private for-profit organizations that will then bilk us from our money to receive treatment in a healthcare facility of any type. Is expanding and creating a good idea? Yes. But not in a for-profit manner. When you build the product with my money and then charge me money to use the services that product is going to provide me. Wait a second here. I'm paying twice. I really don't like that. I don't like that at all. Not one bit. That's when Mr. Grizzly gets really growly and really angry and really vocal. But I'm going to remain calm today. I'm going to remain calm. Keep a calm demeanor. And if you need to chill out, Monday evening at 9 p.m., my ASMR channel, Polly's World 2005 on YouTube, I can smooth out all those rough creases and edges.
Double smooth.
Not a bad segue, eh? Pretty good.
Double smooth. Double smooth. Way to go. Nice. Since we're talking about healthcare, let's talk about the new dental benefit program. The first phase. Pardon?
Oh, yes. Please go ahead.
The first
I need
phase.
Some water, so go.
Yes, the first phase is now eligible for application, and it's open to families that earn under $90,000 per year, have children under the age of 12, and have no other benefits. You can qualify for up to $650 per child per year for the next 2 years. That should be enough, based on their studies, to at least make sure that you get in for 2 cleanings and that type of stuff, the basic upkeep. Now, Dr. Hasnain Douji, who's a BC pediatric dentist, says that, of course, it's not just those types of cases, but, children often have cases that are more severe. And he says that by the time a case gets to him, He says, I would say our average case is probably close to $2,500 to $3,000, and that does not include anything like a sedation or general anesthesia time or anything like that. Um, he says that encountering a case in kids for which the cost would be overwhelming for family basically happens to him on a daily basis. In certain situations, my staff will come to me and say, there's just no any way anybody can do anything about this, so why don't we do a charity case? You guys do charity work overseas, so why not do it on the home front? So yes, we do that as well. Now, the bunny does not have to be used only for basic care. So if there's something major going on, and that 650 can be applied to it to reduce the overall price, that definitely is something you can do. And so the money is helpful. But according to Jennifer Robson, who's a professor of political management and policy at Carleton University, sorry, an associate professor, she says, it will be helpful. There's no doubt about it, but I don't think it will go far enough. It's like when I go for an operation, I'm expecting the best care from whatever specialty I'm going to. I'm about, I'm not worried about payments, et cetera, et cetera. In the dental field, that's not like that.
Mhm.
And if I mentioned the average case is about $2,500, $600 will go a long way, but it's not going to cover it. I think it's a good beginning step. But
Yes.
if you need, I mean, there's still access to care issues. There's still, and in the cases where you need a general anesthesia, you need to be able to have hospital access, right, or access to somebody from the hospital, an anesthetist, anesthesiologist or anesthetist. Not sure which one it is.
Anesthesiologist.
Anesthesiologist, I believe. This who would come in and be able to provide the service. And when you need to go to a private facility with that type of service, that could be $1,000 an hour. I mean, if
The
you need
money,
to
my
get your
friends.
wisdom teeth taken out and need to be knocked out, that's $1,000 an hour for the anesthesiologist. There's something even worse because, you happen to not be able to have your teeth taken care of for a very long time, especially at the beginning, and you need lots of work done in the initial bits. Um, you know, it's helpful. The 650 is helpful, but it doesn't cover everything, of course. But for most people who just need basic maintenance, it will. It'll go a long way. It'll probably cover that. According to Jennifer Robson, she says the program is a little bit difficult to apply for because there are lots of things that you have to make sure you do. You've got to make
Mhm.
sure that you filed your taxes last year. You have to currently be getting the Canada Child Benefit. You need to have a My Account set up with the CRA. You need to know whether or not the service you're going to be getting for your child is not covered by a public program. You need to know that your child is not covered or could not be covered by a private plan. You need to have a dental services provider set up and organized before you apply. And you need to make sure that your child sees that provider within the specified benefits period time. And you have to be ready to prove all this with documentation if you get selected by the Canada Revenue Agency for a benefit review. If you're Canadian
That's a
and you're
lot of
listening
hoops.
to this show, yeah, you may have been one of the several thousands of Canadians who have gotten a benefit review, like either like for asking to show some receipts for your rent tag, your rental payment or your mortgage payment or your property tax or um, you know. Student loans or something to prove that you were able to qualify for that benefit, and then little adjustments would be made if needed. It's a thing that happens every year with Revenue Canada around this time of year, but that's the type of program in this case that they're talking about when you could be selected by a benefit review. It's an interim benefit at the moment, so what Canadians need to understand is that this is not a program yet. Right? It's an interim benefit. The goal with the deal with the New Democrats is to have it become an actual program. But Jennifer Robson says, in their haste to meet a self-imposed deadline, they've put all these conditions on the benefit that the Canada Revenue Agency can't easily check, but has to enforce. What they've built is a traditional cash transfer. It's not insurance. But the goal is for it to become an insurance program over time. So it also requires that people pay up front. Uh, and then apply, I guess, and then there'll be a clawback on review. Um, if there's any need to claw any money back, that would happen on a review. 40,000 Canadians at the time that I got this information had applied, and 36,000 had already received the benefit. So that's good. Estimates are that 500,000 kids could potentially be eligible for this benefit. Cash in my hand is helpful. Absolutely, it is helpful, right? Says Robson, especially when you're talking about lower modest income households. What is not helpful is cash that has so many conditions tied to it, and there's the threat that if you get something wrong on that application, the tax agency is going to hunt you down and make you pay it back. That's the part that's really not helpful here. Now, a program like this is a long time coming because in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, oral disease was identified as a major health condition by governments. But at the time, there weren't enough dentists to set up a national program. So when you're always wondering why is it that dental care was not included with our national Medicare program, our national health program, or the Canada Health Act, that's the reason why. At the time, there just weren't enough dentists in the country to be able to assure that the service would be delivered. And at the time, the dental profession was worried that their profession would be diluted within the broader healthcare if they joined the association. Then we got community community fluoridation, which helped and was more cost effective for prevention. And then the attention to trying to bring dental into the National Health Care Program kind of dissipated with that over time. Dr. Carlos Quinores, who's the Vice Dean and Director of Dentistry at the Schulich School of Medicine and Dentistry at Western University in London, Ontario, thinks that the way the government is going at the moment is the right way. A narrow basket of services, but properly funded, national in scope, federally administered, so to have a truly universal program. And he's quoted as saying, and I also want to stress that this is also an international reality. The United Nations, the World Health Organization, are now talking about dental care in the context of the Sustainable Development Goals. There's this big push internationally to include oral health care and universal health care packages. I just think Canada is moving along with the rest of the world, and we have a real opportunity here to do something good for many people in Canada. So there you go, kids. That's basically all I've been able to find out on the dental program. I know we've talked about it a few times before, and I've brought in little bits of information. But now that it's on and it's underway, that seems to be the overall view from what the program is able to deliver, what it does not deliver, and everything that is required. Now, the things that you need to show are not very necessarily cumbersome. It might be a little tricky to set up a dental services provider before you apply, because I would assume that would mean that you would have to have your child looked at first to see what would be needed, and that there would be an initial fee for that that you would have to pay before you could apply. Unless you're able to find one that says, yes, I will provide the services just in general, and you can go with that. I'm not sure how that works yet. I haven't heard enough stories yet and read enough about it. But there's a big number of them, but they're not necessarily difficult per se. You just have to get them all in a row. It's one of those little government, I guess, tedious things where you have to jump through those specific hoops. You just check the box. Did you do that? Did you do this? Did you do that? Yes. Okay. You're good. And everything will be fine. But it's not you go to your dentist and you present your OHIP card and, the fee gets processed, because then we would be in an actual insurance program. So that's why they're saying that it's a traditional cash transfer at the moment, not insurance. But hopefully that's where we're going with it, because it's a needed program, and especially considering all the other diseases that start through the mouth. You want to make sure that you have good oral health care. It definitely saves the money, lots of money, and lots of pain and suffering down the road for Canadians and for the government. Mr. Grizzly, I think we have a show.
I would agree with you, sir. I think we do. I think we've got all our ducks are in a row for today. Let's end it off with a couple of things that'll make people smile, though. I got a couple of 3 things. Don't forget, for your fashion choices, make sure to consult with the mail order catalog from Eleganza, where
Yes.
you too
The
can look like a
eleganza
member.
extravaganza,
You
darlings.
can look like a member of the crew from Space 1999. Now,
Woo-hoo.
my buddy, Billy, has a candle company. He makes custom candles, and this is the one he's made recently. Peony and Blush is the flavor, and it's titled So Glad We Got Drunk and Had Sex. Best decision ever. And our third and final, oh no, I got two more actually. Our third funny for the morning, is about exercising. Started my juice cleanse yesterday and also went for a hike. Bullshit. What'd you really do? Drank 3 bottles of wine and fell down the stairs. And for our final thing to put a smile on your face, it's so badass when people stand in front of shit they destroyed. First one, Iron Man walking away with an explosion in the background. Second one, Wolverine walking away with an explosion in the background. Third one, Meghan Markle walking away with the guy from the Grand Tour or whatever in the background. And the third and fourth and my favorite is Greta Thunberg giving somebody the side eye with Andrew Tate in the background. So badass when people stand in front of shit they destroyed.
Yes. I was reading in reports that
Jeremy Clarkson was the name of the fella, by the way, Meghan Markle.
Yes. I was reading in the reports that some of the women that appeared unwillingly in the videos that Andrew Tate was circulating on the web had tattoos on them called with written owned by Tate. Yes. So again, kids, probably not a good idea of tattooing evidence of your crime upon your victims if you're trying to stay out of jail one day.
Don't tell them. Don't tell them. Let them continue to incriminate themselves. Shh,
Yes.
Don't tell them.
I'm just wondering what tattoo he's going to be getting where he's going.
Not a good one.
I'm just saying. I hope his says owned by Greta.
That would be good. That would be good. See if you can get something parlayed through the Romanian consulate to make sure somebody in prison tattoos
Dear
that
Embassy
on
of Romania, my partner is Romanian. We were wondering if you could do us a favor.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Clickety, clickety, click. You get that meme with the cats typing? That's me right now.
Yes, yeah. Fire up that tattoo gun.
Well, kids, we close this episode on images of Andrew Tate, putting images in your head of Andrew Tate being tattooed, someplace that he probably can't see on his own without the help of a mirror. The tattoo owned by Greta. To end this episode of the Eager Beaver podcast, we hope you love listening to it because we loved making it for you. Kid Elaine goes tramp stand for Tate. Tate gonna be doing that no more.
Nope.
Because democracy is something you do if you could roll up your sleeves and make a donation at your closest blood bank. Emma Quebec or Canadian Blood Services needs your help. During the storms that we had around Christmas time, they got about a 10% decrease in their usual donations, and we're running low on type O blood, specifically in platelets. They say that blood is in you to give, so if you can help out, that would be really great. If you like this podcast, you can find us on the Crier Media Network. Crier as in town crier, hear ye, as well as anywhere you get all your podcasts featuring a grizzly bear, who is fantastic, and a beaver, who is fabulous. Yes, you do. Please share the podcast. We love your feedback. We're on Facebook, the True North Eager Beaver, Twitter at True Eager, and our email is truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. Let us know what you think, good, bad, or ugly. If it's ugly, be gentle. We're sensitive souls. If you want us to come straight to you whenever we have something that's fresh off the bandwidth, hey, podpage.com. That's where you go. Podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when we have something fresh for you, you'll be the first to get it. And if you really, 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 really like this podcast, yes, and soon 5 days a week, yes, PB, the kids were very happy with that news when you announced it, Mr. Grizzly, in the chat. There's lots of wheeze and all that good stuff. So we like that. So if you really like this podcast and you wish to encourage us to do more, like Kit Aina did recently, we work for tips. Please feel free to buy a cup of coffee for Mr. Grizzly here or a mug of hot chocolate for me via our coffee page at ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word, lowercase letters. That's ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver. Good morning, Get Saucy. Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you join us. Even if, better late than never. We don't care when you
Better
get here,
late than
as long as you
never.
get here. Yes. And finally, if you'd rather get something for your money, because, it's inflation for everyone and, you're a savvy shopper, well, of course you're savvy. You listen to this show, right? So you're probably a savvy shopper too, right? Right. So we got you covered. Something literally for everybody. Sizes small to 3XL. Eager Beaver shirts, Mr. Grizzly Civic tees. You know you want them because it's a very subtle way to let all the people in your life know that you are a smart, informed, and engaged person. And that is incredibly sexy. Is it just me or is it getting hot in here, Mr. Grizzly? There's a lot of
It's
sexiness
getting
going
hot
on.
in here.
Whew,
Take
yeah.
off all your clothes. I'm gonna get
Goddamn. What was that?
I was trying to do my best. It's not Cisco. Who did the thong song?
The thong
I can't
song is
remember his
Cisco.
name now.
The thong
No,
song
that
is
wasn't.
Cisco.
Sorry.
Hot in here is
Yeah.
Nelly.
Sorry. Thank you, Nelly.
Yeah.
I was mixing them up. Mixing up genres.
Ah, man.
Nelly.
Being informed has never been more fashion. So walk, fashion, baby, your fingers to crier.co/crier-media-shop to get yourself some fabulous today. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying, until next time, dear kids, it can be a tough world out there. So please, like the whiteboard says behind me, be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, words of wisdom, please.
Yeah, check us out. Check me out specifically. I've just put the link in the chat. Monday evening at 9 p.m. for my ASMR mental health discussion. Every Monday at 9 p.m. live stream here on the Crier Media Network starting next week.
Mm-hmm. Will you
That's
be
the first thing.
delivering the ASMR in the Speedo?
I suppose I could. It never really occurred to me.
You gotta show a little leg if you want to boost that viewership there, Mr. Grizzly.
Well, I mean, I'd have to stand up to make it worthwhile because sitting is not going to.
Don't give it all away, though. Don't give it all away.
No.
It's the art of the tease.
I'll keep a little bit. Keep a little bit for myself. But yes, if you are somebody who battles mental health issues like I do, I have both depression and anxiety, and if you need to talk, I do a live stream day evenings at 9 p.m. It's an ASMR chat. I don't do tricky things like crinkling paper or anything like that. I speak in a soothing voice and discuss mental health issues, how we can work through them. And then I give a little bit of whisper content because there's some people who really like the whisper content. So, yeah, Monday evening, 9 p.m.
Kit Sussy goes, well, first, this anemia is kicking my ass, so we're sending you a little iron. And, we are getting more Mr. Grizzly and Mr. Beaver and possibly Mr. Grizzly After Dark.
Yeah, but that's just Paul After Dark. Mr. Grizzly is this show. Paul is After Dark.
Ooh. Well, we're going to have if this continues, we're going to have so many different formats. We're not going to do anything else but record.
Well, and Dean wants to add the jazz show to the network as well. So
yes, I told you that would happen. I told you.
Yeah.
So, I told you that would happen because it's freaking amazing.
Going to add that as well. Thank you. So it's going to be just presents a lot more work for me. I'm okay with it because I love doing it. So
I am so happy for you.
Thank you.
I'm so happy for you. That is great. Yes. No.
But now keep in mind.
The jazz show is amazing, kids. If you have not tuned in yet, you absolutely have to.
It's audio only.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's audio only on the jazz show. It won't be on just the audio podcast because I have license to do it on that one. Licensing for YouTube is different. They'll just pull a copyright, and I'm not fighting with YouTube.
Yeah, no.
So.
But kids, is like if you love jazz, you'll love this show. And if you've always wanted to like learn about jazz, gain an appreciation, it literally is. Mr. Grizzly's show is literally a jazz appreciation course from beginning to end for free. It's just absolutely fantastic. Please go take some time to listen to it. I often write my content listening to his shows. It puts you in a really good space. So thank you, kids, for putting all these little compliments. Thank you so much in the chat. We'll definitely be seeing you soon. Did you give your words of wisdom, Mr. Grizzly?
I did.
You did
Tune
a
in
plug,
Monday
but
at
I don't
9
think
p.m.
you did. Okay.
That was the word
That's the words of wisdom?
about mental health.
Okay. All right.
It's the words of wisdom. Pay
There you go.
attention to your mental health. I'll pay attention with you. Needs at 9 p.m.
Kit Linda goes, it makes me so happy to see you guys succeeding like you deserve.
Oh,
Thank
thanks,
you,
Linda.
darling. We love you. All right, Mr. Grizzly, roll those credits, please.
The True North Eager Beaver podcast is an Eager Beaver Mr. Grizzly collaboration. Research, story, and guest curation and copy written by the Eager Beaver. Recording, production, editing, and additional research by Mr. Grizzly. Music courtesy of Ben Royalty Free Music. Once again, thank you to our founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss Fee Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing and CanadianTarot.com. And thank you to Pete Jarvis for our artwork. We love it. Kits, we'll talk to you real soon. Bye.
Take care. See ya.
Au revoir. À bientôt. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.